Okay, so now we are in chapter 3, which is common shares valuation. Okay, but before I'm going to common shares valuation, okay, let me recap back the process of corporate finance. Okay, so right. Okay, so remember that in corporate finance, in any corporate finance, they share a common theme or common practice, okay, whereby, okay, this is an, let's say a company, okay, all right, remember that the company have two sources of fund, okay, which is debt, okay, which is debt, the one that we already covered, which is bond, in chapter 2. Okay, and the next one will be equity. All right, another source of fund which is equity, okay, which is in terms of shares. All right. Okay, so that we already covered, in last chapter, and then today this week, we want to cover in this one, which is equity or shares. All right. So how equity can consider as a source of fund. Okay, it is because the equity is based on what we call as capital provider. Okay, provider. Whereby capital provider means that investor will purchase shares. Okay, there are not only one investor, but there are hundreds or thousands of investors who wants to invest into that particular company. All right, so let me draw another one. Okay, this one, let's focus on company only. Okay, all right. So as far as company is concerned, all right, investor will come here and purchase shares. Okay, there are a lot of investors, okay, hereby, okay, will inject some of the money. Okay, so they will inject some of the money into a company. So once companies receive a lot of money came from investors, okay, and then what company does is, instead of investor purchase shares from company, and then company will give something to the investors, which is in terms of shares. Okay, right. Investor give money, and then company will provide shares, and again shares for ownership. All right, so if you ask me, that the company is owned by who? Who owns the company? Okay, the company is not owned by the manager, but the company is owned by those investors. All right, so the company is using investors money to run a company, all right, in order to get one thing in common, which is getting a profit. So once companies generated profit, okay, the profit is usually comes from revenue or sales. Okay, and then what company does with the profit is they will return this profit, and distribute to the investors. Okay, so in this one we call as a the term, that we call as a, sorry, we call this as a payout. Okay, payout means dividend. All right, and also what investor can get also in terms of capital gain. Okay, capital gain, it means that investor purchase shares with the low price, but they're selling shares with the high price. Okay, so for example, investor purchase RM1, and then they are selling RM1 20 cents. So therefore, the difference between selling price 120 and the buying price, which is 1 ringgit, which is they got a profit of 20 cents. Okay, so that is how investors can enjoy their return on investment from purchasing shares. Yeah, in terms of dividend, which is payout, a company will pay or giving some free bonus and free bonus or free extra shares, and then capital gain in terms of the share price increasing, and investor will get profit from it. Okay, so I hope that you can understand the concept here. Okay, so what is exactly common shares or common stock is all about? Do not confuse about common stock and common shares. Common stock and common shares is the same, sharing the same terminology. Yeah. So common stock is an equity investment. That means, remember, we have two types of funding, which is investment, which is debt and also equity. All right. Equity means capital. So yeah, how investor what investor will get in terms of investing in shares or equity, it represent ownership in a corporation. That means, remember, company is owned by investor. Okay, usually public investor. Okay, not a manager is only manage the company. Okay, investor or also shareholders, whoever purchase the most shares in the company, represent or possess the largest portion, and therefore they represent a largest proportion or ownership of a company. We call it as a major shareholders. Yeah. All right. Only corporation or company can issue common stock. That means only company can sell common stock. Yeah, that means in terms of in terms of companies is offering public, or in public investors to purchase. We never had of individual investors directly sell shares to another investor. No, there is no such thing. Yeah, okay, only usually company can sell or issue common stock, which is they are offering ownership. All right, and then the return of common stock in terms of capital gain, I already talked about capital gain, means that buy low sell high, and also dividend, which is in terms of payout. Yeah. Okay, we will talk about payout in the later chapter. Okay, how what is a strategy, payout strategy that company practice? Okay, so we will talk about that later on in the later chapter. And then, okay, the decision of either they want to give in terms of capital gain and also dividends subjected to company's net profit. Meaning that, yeah, if companies recorded net profit, they are qualified to issue payout or increase their share price. Okay. If net loss, that means company are not qualified to do that. Okay. All right. Because net profit, remember, what does a company have to do with profit? Profit will used by the company by dividing distributing the profit between shareholders, regardless of major shareholder or minor shareholders. All right. The question here is, we as an investor side, okay, in terms of public investor, sometimes we wondering how companies determine the price. Okay, Ki gave you the terminology. All right. Astro's price is 60 ringgit. Astro, okay, the company Astro 60 ringgit, and then per share. Then Dash Lady, let's say 10 ringgit per share, or maybe Ajinomoto, let's say 50 cents per share. So how they are determine the price? Okay, so to determine the price of the value of shares, we have three valuations. Okay, three valuation of common shares, which is how they are determine the price is based on these three models, which is zero growth model, constant growth model, and variable growth model. Okay, the easiest one will be number one. The number two is a semi-medium difficulty, and number three is quite complicated. Okay, later on I will show you why. Okay, but mostly variable growth model is the most difficult one. Because the share price can be going up and going down, and then the dividend or payout that distributed by the company yeah, is a change or varies here from year to year. Okay, so we will see one by one those methods. Yeah, this one definitely calculation part. All right, zero growth model. All right, zero growth model. What does zero growth model means? That okay? Let me illustrate to you before I explain the meaning here. Okay, let's say first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year. Let's say 5 years. Yeah. All right. So zero growth model means that every year, yeah, the dividend or payout, yeah, given by a company has the same amount. Okay. So every year company will pay the same amount. Let's say $1. Second year also $1. Third year also $1. Fourth year also $1, and fifth year also $1. It means that there is no growth, yeah, no increment on the dividend every year. Yeah, that means constant. Yeah, flat. Yeah. Okay, so that's why it is the simplest approach. Yeah, it is assumed that dividend is flat or constant. You see here RM1 every year. All right, which is G is not given. That means a growth rate. The increment between first year and second year is not percentage is not given. Second to third year increment is not given. That means G is zero. Yeah. In other words, yeah, that means growth rate is zero. There is no growth rate. Every year the dividend is a same. So in this case, yeah, how to calculate the price of the particular company share, which is the formula is VS. VS in which is value of shares or value of price of a shares is equal to D. D means that annual dividend. This is D, yeah. D is all D here. Okay, this is D. Divided by K. K is required rate of return. Usually required rate of return will be given in the question. Required rate of return, which is that projected return of shares in the future. Okay, so annual dividend also the dividend that recorded or payout that's declared by the company. So by using this formula, this is straight formula. At the end of the day, if you calculate this VS, the answer will be in currency. Yeah, RM, US dollar, yeah, GBP, whatsoever. But since here in Malaysia, but usually in RM, yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at the example one on how to calculate the price of the share. So Danny is considering a stock purchase. Okay, the stock pays a constant annual dividend of RM3 per share. If Danny's required of return for this stock is 12%, how much should Danny will be willing to pay for this stock? Okay, so first thing first, yeah, in order for you to answer this chapter question, yeah, what you have to do first is you have to look at the word grow, which is G. All right, in this case, yeah, if you see here, yeah, there is no word mentioning about growth, yeah, GROWTH or GROW. There is no word whatsoever, yeah, about this one. Okay, so if there is no G, yeah, if G is not given, definitely we will use the first model, which is zero growth model. Okay, and we need to extract the information. The stock pays a constant annual dividend of RM3. You see RM3 here. Annual dividend RM3 per share. Okay, and then if Dennis required rate of return is 12%, okay, the projected return will be 12%, which is K. How much should Danny will be willing to pay for this stock? So PO, in other words, we can also call as a VS. PO means that price at present, yeah, price at the year zero. That means price of today. Yeah, can also call as PS, yeah, which is equal to D divided by K, which is RM3 divided by, okay, remember this one is percentage, then you need to divide it by 100, yeah, to get the round number. All right, do not simply 3 divided by 12, it's not going to help, yeah. Okay, all right, so you need to divide by 100 in order to get the round number. So 3 divided by 0.12, and then you press the calculator, and then you will get the price of RM25. Yeah, in a conclusion, yeah, the company's share price that Danny wants to purchase is RM25 per share. Okay, All right. So before we going to the next one, all right. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so far so good, eh? All right. So it's good. Okay. So look at this. Okay, so please take note that the question that related to the first model, okay, let's go into study question for a while. Okay, just write down, okay, we have a 10 question. Okay, I will tell you which one that the question that use model number one, which is zero growth. Okay, get ready. All right, so the question that requires you to calculate using the first model will be question number 5. Okay, number 5, the first one. Okay, number 5. I tell you why later on, 5. Question number 8. Yeah, and then that's all. Okay, question number 5 and question number 8, it is related to the first model. Okay, I tell you why. Okay, let's have a look at the question. If you see in the question carefully, Premium Berhad has maintained a dividend rate of RM1.20 per share for many years. The plan is to maintain the dividend rate, and then if required rate of return is 10%, determine the present price of company stock. Should you buy the shares if market price is 20? This one I will talk about this one later, later on. But in question number 5, they didn't mention anything about the word grow, G-R-O-W or G-R-O-W-T-H. So if there is no nothing mentioned about growth or grow, definitely you will choose model number 1. Okay, we have RM1.20 and then we have 10%. That's it. Okay, this one is your MP. Later on, we will I will show you on how to compare later on. And number 8 is also same. Yeah, preferred shares share pays a RM8 fixed dividend annually. Okay, if required of return is 16%. Again, there is nothing mentioned about the word grow, G-R-O-W. So definitely, we can use model 1 for this one, which is RM8 divided by 16%. So you get your VS. All right. So I repeat again, for model number 1, sorry, for question number 8 and 5 and question number 8, you can use model number 1, yeah, to calculate value of shares. Okay, let's check anything. Okay, let's move on to the second model. Let's move on to the second model. Okay, but before that, let me edit something. Okay, this is divide. Okay, this is divide. I will update this slide later on. Okay. Constant growth model. Okay, constant growth model. Let me draw to you how constant growth model works. 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. Okay, what does constant growth model means? Yeah. Okay, so let's say dividend today is RM1. And then for year 1, the dividend will increase by 5%. And then going for the second year, it will increase again by 5%. From year 2 to year 3 is also increased by 5%. Okay, and then from year 3 to year 4 is also by 5% as well. And from year 4 to year 5 is also 5%. It means that constant growth model indicates that every year the company will experiencing the same growth rate. Okay, which is 5%. In this case, 5%. Every year they will increase in the dividend for the same amount. Okay, so in this case, which is 5%, 5%, which is G given, growth rate given is only 1, which is in this case 5%. The assumption here is dividend will grow over a time at a specific rate or grow forever to infinity. That means until the company close and shut down also will increase by 5% as well. If G is given is only 1, which is only 1 is referring to 5%. Okay, so therefore the formula will be VS, we will have two formulas, but it depends on the question. Is the question related to D1 or is the question related to D0? Later on we will see. So if the question related to D1, therefore Vs is equal to D1 divided by K minus G. Or if the question is related to D0, that means DO 1 plus G divided by K minus G. Okay, Vs as usual, value or price of a share with or stock. Okay, DO means that last year or today. Anything that represent past tense, past tense or present tense, which is last year or DO, okay, past tense or present tense, last year, today, currently, which is DO. But for D1, which is dividend for the year one, it relates to the future, which is next year dividend. Okay, and K as usual required rate of return, and G is constant growth rate. Okay, but let's see example 2. Okay, example 2, High-Tech Berhad is expected to pay a dividend of RM1.80 in the coming year. You see the word coming year. The word coming year is referring to the next year, which is year 1. So therefore, the dividend of RM1.80, which is referring to the D1. Why D1? Because the word the coming year, which is referring to the next year. Okay, the required rate of return is 16%, which is K, and dividends are expected to grow at 7%. In this case, only one G given here, which is 7%. Every year, they will experiencing 7% every time. Yeah. So using the dividend valuation model, find the intrinsic value of the company's common shares. So since they use D1, therefore they should use D1 formula, this one. Okay, D1 formula. So D1 is RM1.80, K is 16%, G is 7%. Okay, remember PO also known as a VS. VS is equal as D1 divided by K minus G. You just put the figure 180 and then 0.16. Remember, you need to divide by 100. Yeah, 16% divided by 100, 0.16. 7 also divided by 100 becomes 0.07. Remember, in mathematics, you need to resolve this matter first. Yeah, okay? That means 0.09. I think if you press calculator, 0.09. So RM1.80 divided by 0.09, you will get 20 ringgit. Okay. All right. That is a question that relates to D1. Okay, but now let's going back to the study question. Okay. Take note, please take note that question that applies second model, which is constant growth model. Okay, please take note. Question number 1. Okay, which is using the second model. Question number 3, also using the second model. And then question number 4. Also using the second model. Question number 6, also use the second model. And that's it. Okay, I repeat again. The question that you can use for the second model is question 1, question 3, question 4, and then question 6. Okay, why we are saying that? Because you see, okay, I am going for this. Okay, let's take question 1. Okay, there is a difference between question 1 and the example. Okay, question 1. Let's have a look at question 1. Abdul is considering purchasing common stock of Buku Berhad. Buku Berhad is a company. The company paid dividend of RM2 for their common stockholders last year. You see the word last year? The word last year dividend, which is referring to the last year dividend, therefore the last year will represent the 0. Yeah? He set a minimum return of 10%. Okay, this is your K. And then compute the price that he should pay for the stock if dividend is constantly grow 5% every year. Okay, this is your G. Okay, that means only G given in this one, which is every year 5%. 3, buy the shares if market price is 45, 5 ringgit. Okay, so to answer that, yeah, question 1. Okay, don't forget to extract the formula DO, which is equal to D0 1 plus G divided by K minus G. Okay. But before that, we need some discipline in this one. DO, which is equal to 2 ringgit. And then your minimum return K is 10%. This is a small K, not a big K. And then your G, 10%. And then market price 45 ringgit. Alright, so once you are done, you can put the figures there, which is 2 ringgit, 1 plus G. Okay, G here is 5%, therefore 5 divided by 100, which is 0.05. Okay, you should know this one. And then K minus G, K is 10% divided by 100, which is 0.1. And then G is 0.05. Okay. I just make it not more complex, more detailed so you can understand. Where is calculator? Okay. All right. 1 plus 0. 1 plus 0 0.0. 1 plus 0.05 multiplied by 2 ringgit, which is 2.1. Divided by 0.1 minus 0.05. 0.05. Okay, so the answer will be RM 2.1 divided by 0.05, 42 ringgit. Okay, so that is the answer for, it's not DO, sorry, VS. VS is equal to DO, multiplied by 1 plus G divided by K minus G. Okay, so if you put the numbers and you can get the answer later on. Okay, so this the price that the investor are willing to pay to Buku Berhad, or the Buku Berhad issues the price there. Okay, 42 ringgit. So that is how you do D0. Okay, remember, yeah, if that is related to D0, this is the formula. Okay, all right. And then let's have a look at another question. Okay, you see here why we are using the second model, because you see here the word grow. You see the word grow here. And the growth rate given is 6%. Okay, and then it's paying. It's paying means that present. So therefore this D0. Yeah, do not put as a D1. This one is a D0. Okay, how about this one also? This one, yeah, they saying grow. Yes, there is a growth here, and then only one growth rate here, which is 4%. And then you see here, this one is a next year. If next year, that means D1. Okay, so D1. And then the last one, question number 6, which is using a second model as well. Paid a dividend of 1.80 ringgit last year, which is D0, because the word last year. And then the growth rate is only 1, which is 15%. Okay, so that is that means if DO, that means you should use DO formula. If there is a D1 like this, you should use the D1 formula. Okay. Any questions so far for the second model? But before that, later on, the regarding decision of buying and selling, later on I will talk about that. Any questions so far? Okay, how about the others? Okay. MP, okay, MP is market price. MP is market price. Okay, if there is no question, we take a break, yeah, for 10 minutes. Sorry, 10 minutes is quite long.